People deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in each and every time. If you don't know, I can't imagine you don't. Benfica and Arsenal in the first leg of the last 32 round of last 32, better yet in the Europa League for this season, have drawn 1-1. Now, well, now it seems like my phone automatically wants to play YouTube vids, but depending on where you look at it, you can be disappointed, you can be full of optimism. Yeah, we'll get into it. I'm sure a lot of you have your opinions. In fact, right, why wait? I'm just going to get this over, my part over and done with. Now, we drew 1-1 in it, people. Please make sure you're hitting the like button on your way in, people. Let's get this to 300 likes. But as I was saying, people, it's more of the same, really. It's stuff that we've known already. We struggle to break down low blocks or well drilled units. In fact, on that, I have to, before I forget and it goes over my head, I have to give credit to Benfica. They've been leaking goals. They've been poor domestically. They've only played three at the back once this year. Somebody alerted me to, and clearly in the week up to this game, they've worked on playing three at the back, and I think their game plan was spot on. They limited this, on top of us being poor, as you could see, they limited the space. Frequently when we did break, you saw a sea of red shirts. They were compact, they were narrow, they limited the space, they got men behind the ball. It's job well done for them. Obviously, they switched off a minute after scoring, but I feel they done all right. The problem is, typically when Arsenal drop points or don't win, as much as you have to give the other team credit, Arsenal have engineered their own mistakes. I heard Arteta say we've learned our lessons from the Olympiacos game. I don't think we have, because the parallels are still there. Aubameyang's, and it's not just Aubameyang's chance. Aubameyang's missing chances. We've not killed a game that was there for the taking in the first leg. So now the second leg goes either way. For me, the positives are we got an away goal. We got an away goal. We're still undefeated in the Europa League this season, and we got an away goal. Arguably we're winning this tie 2-1. So now Benfica, they can't exactly play. They can play free at the back, of course, but they're going to have a bit more to them in an attacking sense. Dare I say, they're going to have to commit more bodies forward in the second leg, because if I was them, I'd back them to score. But on the second hand, while we have advantage, depending on how you look at it, Benfica probably back themselves to score an away goal in the second leg, and it's all for us to do. We've engineered our own mistakes in this game. Again, we can focus on that penalty. I think it's a harsh penalty. Smith Rowe's done dirty, but fundamentally, that's the territory you get in when you don't create any chances. We ended that first half with 3 shots, 1 on target. You get yourselves in things like that, and that was the one fear, that lack of chances being created, not taking the small chances that were there. They were going to score. I think Benfica were there. I think we flattered Benfica, credit to them and their game plan. But I genuinely think we flattered them because, we're very slow on the counter. We're very slow in possession. We're playing sideways passes. We're going backwards and sideways, and we're just allowing them to hold their shape. They expected to concede possession, and they were fine with that early on, people. It's only like in the last 20, they started building a bit of confidence in that regards. But like I said, first 10, Benfica evidently very narrow, very rigid, limited a lot of space. We're limiting us to playing in our own half and in front of them where we were in their half. I feel we was very slow on the ball. I think there was no invention. There was no intention. Very rarely, beyond Ceballos here and there, Odegaard in patches, I didn't really see any player that looked like they were going to make something happen. Cedric put in a shift, but it's not that players played bad today. It just weren't there, We're struggling to create anything, and when we are, the passes aren't there really and truly. The quality isn't there, and we're engineering it for ourselves. We didn't take our small chances, and to be fair, Benfica even had a couple of chances where if they score, they might have got a second, and it changes the whole outlook. At the end of the day, it's 1-1. There's still a big amount of football to be played, but for me, I didn't see a team that wanted to advance in the Europa League and kind of give themselves a bit of leeway in the second leg and firmly be able to focus on Manchester City this weekend. I didn't see a team that wanted to score. I didn't see a team that, like Arteta said, we've learned our lessons from Olympiacos. I didn't, because we're in dangerous territory. Lacazette Aubameyang missed a sitter. No excuses for that. Arguably you could say he missed 2 chances. But away from that, what did we create? I'm not excusing Aubameyang. You scored a hat-trick already, but between Aubameyang, between our midfielders generally not being able to turn it on, he's anonymous. Tini wasn't at his best when he came on, but just by offering an outlet on the left wing, you saw what he gave us. I do think Arteta, one thing criticism I have, you took too long with the subs today, way too long. You know, you're bringing Martinelli and Pepe on where they really don't have enough to do anything in the game, people. They really can't present any problems. Like I said, the best chance I'd say for the first 20 minutes was Aubameyang's effort, people. Aubameyang should have scored. You know when Bellerin's end product is spot on in the final third, you've got an issue. There's not really any overlapping play. There wasn't really any intention. There wasn't really invention. We missed the link-up play I think Lacazette provides. I did think as well, we didn't test those centre-halves. You saw Vertonghen. He didn't want to get turned by Saka. Every opportunity, he's trying to kick Saka. Otamendi, the occasional times he was isolated versus Aubameyang, he looked shaky. Even that one where Smith Rowe made him miss time his challenge, people. There was even a couple of times Leno is going long, and that Benfica defence, they're somehow left 1v1. They were there for the taking. Players did look tired in the second half as well, in my opinion. We had a lot of possession. First 20, half an hour, we had a lot of possession. No real chances, and ultimately you haven't got that goal. For me, like I was saying in my watch along, you score early on against three at the back is a difficult formation depending on what happens in the game, because suddenly if Arsenal score, it tears up that game plan. They have to come forward and things like that. We really can't. I don't know what point I made here. I clearly wasn't making sense here, but I think, I did think half an hour into the game, people were allowing Benfica to get a lot of the ball and start to get comfortable within the game, people. Ultimately, you all saw it. You don't shoot, you don't score. You don't create, you don't score. You don't take the minimal chances you get presented in the game. You can't get anywhere. So at halftime, as much as I say you have to admire Benfica's system, because I think they did a very good job on us in whatever they tried to do, I think we're struggling. It's the same old question. It doesn't matter if it's Aston Villa, Benfica, Crystal Palace, whether we're playing a low block, whether we're playing well-engined units, we can't break them down. And that's because there's a lack of movement, there's a lack of bravery from the players to pass the ball, and there's a lack of coaching. It seems like what's been injected in us in the past few weeks has left us, people. Simply put, we're not good enough in the final third. We've had 3 shots, 1 has hit the target, people, and I can't tell you off the top of my head what shot that was. The only effort I can personally focus on is how Aubameyang missed. I don't know how. I was starting to think it's a game for Lacazette. I think he's more of a physical presence, and with the way they're playing the high line, Lacazette potentially would divert attention to Aubameyang or a Martinelli or a Pepe. You take your pick of people. I think we're playing it safe. I think people are looking at other players to pass the buck. I think Ceballos is trying the thing. I think Odegaard's doing all right. I think Smith Rowe's here and there. I think Saka's trying, but it's not that anyone's playing well. We're just not playing enough. I can't really see who's going to be the difference maker, people. Second half, I'm expecting a reaction, and I think Benfica offered a lot more and showed us a bit more of their offensive qualities in the second half against us. I did think Saka and Bellerin had one good effort where they linked up very well, and there must have been some other players involved, but Saka dragged it wide. Saka didn't have the same Saka probably summed up the game. Nobody had their shooting boots on. Nobody had that final prestige. I think Saka tried. I think Ceballos did all right. I think Odegaard done all right here and there, but it weren't really good enough. I was shocked the amount of times I'm seeing people offside, people, personally. Some of the offsides were marginal, but I didn't know what's going on. And again, I have to give credit to Benfica because they're playing the offsides, sort of thing. Aubameyang, he had his about a third effort. For me, should have scored in the 63rd, 64th minute. He had 3 good chances. The one I'd say he had to bag was the one he didn't in the first half. Now, obviously, people, I haven't wrote it here, but I have, 54 odd minutes or whenever it was, we went a goal down, people. Fundamentally, this is the sort of effery that happens when you don't take your chances, and this is how the game is flipped on its head. I don't think it's a penalty. It is the letter of the law by what they're saying. I don't know what they expect Smith Rowe to do, but for Smith Rowe, maybe he could be braver and take the ball to the face, sort of thing. Pause. That's the sort of stuff you happen when you're not taking chances, and that's the sort of stuff when you listen to your manager, like the Benfica one was, and doing their thing. They go 1-0 ahead. Now, the only thing I think is of benefit is that we didn't lose today, and we scored very early after conceding. They tried to say it was offside. I don't know how. You can clearly see Saka is onside. Good. It was a scrappy goal, but felt well played to Odi. I think Ceballos was involved, but I can definitely remember off the top of my head without watching the game again. Odegaard done very well. Cedric obviously got the assist, and Saka obviously put the ball in the back of the net. Saka should have even had 2 to go with Aubameyang's one. So the only benefit is that we've scored and we flip it on its head, because Benfica have to be slightly more attacking. If the scoreline stays 0-0 in the second leg, we go through and away goes. You know, away goals is your best friend when you benefit from it. I was disappointed, like I said, with the subs because several players, it looks like fatigue is playing a part. You could see several players, not that they wanted to walk, but Saka started to look tired. Smith Rowe was looking tired. The midfield men were looking tired. And you started to see that with the passes he was making, you know, even going back to the first half, you know, Xhaka's trying to play some difficult, unnecessary pass on the stroke of half time, and Ceballos saved our bacon. Did we not learn the lesson with doing dumb stuff against Wolves in the end of the game? And, you know, this game has showed us that we still lack game management. We can't understand when we need to score when the team is there for the taking. We can't manage out a game. You know, I'd say even the dying embers of the game, it looked more likely that Benfica would score. It's 1-1, so there's a lot to build upon. And like I said, Benfica have to kind of press us. I don't know if they're going to play the three at the back. Like I said, there's plenty of benefits Benfica have, you know. Fundamentally, people thought, and I'm sure a lot of their fans thought they were going to get smacked up. And this is why I say football isn't won on paper. You play the occasions. Ultimately, the only benefit is that we scored. So that leaves me with my ending thoughts, people. Poor second half for me, without a doubt. I don't know how our standards dropped. Very poor in the final third. We did look tired. For me, again, you know, you've got to be careful because we could have went a bit more gun-ho and lost the game, but it did feel a bit defeative, you know, even with, I know you're allowed to make more subs, even with bringing on El Nene and who else came on? El Nene and I can't remember at the time, Willian. It just seemed a bit like the players were happy to, you know, to take this to the second leg. It seemed like the manager was happy to take this to the second leg, which I don't necessarily disagree with. But at the same time, it's got to, you know, we needed to have more of a goal. Big up my guy, Rabona TV. I see him in the comments. He said, I thought we were going to get smacked up. We did. And this is what I said, man, I'm shook of Benfica because when everyone points towards something happening, when your team is not in form, we're the team to play. The only benefit is that we live to fight another day and the tie is still there. And slyly, we've got the advantage because we've got an away goal. Saying that, Rabona, as you lot know, that you're coming to our place now. So for me, we did look tired. On top of just the obvious of being poor in the final third and second best, I just didn't get the vibe that we wanted that second. I didn't. And that's for me upsetting because we've got the players. And I think it's a case of the players should have woke up today, you know, but at the same time, this is what I told people when our problems go deeper than just, oh, we need creative players, because you had Ceballos, Smith Rowe and Odegaard on that field. You still struggle to break down teams. We have a lack of movement. We have a lack of IQ to react when we see that a game isn't going to be how we've planned for it, you know, because to say that they had a high line and we didn't really test them people. I feel Arteta really, you know, I think the players let me down as well, big time today, because I think, you know, I don't feel the manager should have to tell you what you need to do and that you should put this game to bed. But at the same time, he let me down in terms of no goals. I don't know what you're on about here. Chill, we're in the lead. Our fans panic too much, and that has grown on to the players. I don't know who's panicking here. You know, I just said it's still 1-1. It's halfway. We've actually got the advantage. It's just you've still given Benfica a glimmer of hope where they were good collectively for their game plan, but we flattered them. So please, you know, we need balance. We can, on one hand, acknowledge that, but on the other hand, acknowledge that it weren't good enough. So it's not the end of the world, but it's frustrating. We look tired. For me, I didn't get the vibe we wanted the second. So I want to see, not that we're playing at the Emirates, in that second leg, I want to see you come out the blocks firing. Obviously, don't be gung-ho and stuff, but I want to see you look like a team that can cut them up, because you didn't really cut them up in the final third. You didn't really ask questions of that keeper. You know, he looked a bit shaky when asked, but I don't really know how good his keeper. I don't really know how good Benfica's keeper is. I don't really know how good that defense is. We've got to ask more questions in the second leg. You know, we didn't really play well collectively all game. Like I said, I don't feel we played as terrible as people are making out. And for me, it's the fact that everyone was doing the minimal, especially when you needed a bit of individual quality. I don't think players were trying to do more than the minimum, if that makes sense. I think players could have in that regard. Again, we scored a positive. We scored quickly after conceding, but fundamentally our play was either backwards, sideways, or just too slow and just reactive. We live to fight another day. We've got an away goal. So again, you know, we live to fight another day. We turn our attentions firmly to the game against Manchester City. I would imagine there's going to be rotation of sorts, or there should be some rotation of sorts, purely because we look tired, you know. Smith Rowe looks like he needs a break. You know, I don't know if you can afford to rest Saka, but Saka looks a bit tired. You know, you took off Aubameyang probably because he played poor, but I do think Lacazette and Pepe should start against Manchester City personally. I think Dani Ceballos had a good game today. I think Odegaard was good in little patches. I think Cedric tried. You know, Saka obviously scored, but I don't feel there was no man of the match. There was no outstanding candidates. Nobody was amazing and all of these things. We don't need to take it over the top. It's disappointing as well because we're the one, I don't know, with exception of Leicester, at this moment in time, I don't know what's going on in the Leicester game, people, but to know that what Man United, you know, made light work of Sociedad, Spurs, you know, fair enough. It's not the same opposition as Sociedad and Benfica, but they done what they needed to do in their game. It's not that we ain't done what we've needed to do, but we haven't put this tie beyond reasonable doubt. And for me, 10 offsides as well. You know, a lot of it was marginable, but that tells me that further highlights that we're not doing what we need to do in the final third. So we live to fight another day, but it's just frustrating more than anything. It's not a game people should be crying and going over the top with, but it firmly is where it is in that regards, people. Sorry, people, as I do a timestamp for those of you that obviously are not watching this right now, people. What are you guys saying? So what? Leicester drew. So yeah, I'm unaware. So yeah, like us, you know, Leicester drew. They ain't got the luxury of a goal, of an away goal. We live to fight another day. If we hold